It is now time for You Think You Know Me with the Godfather here on YouTube. Here's your host, the Godfather. Alright, well, guess who's back? Well, sort of. As a matter of fact, not many people really listened to my radio show to begin with, so let's just start off at square number one. This is You Think You Know Me with the Godfather here. From this point on, it's going to be on Wednesdays on YouTube. I'm hoping this continues. This is hopefully the beginning of a wonderful relationship for all you viewers and listeners out there, because I really want to expand my program outside of my radio show that I used to do for KUYFM 9.3 for 3.5 years and actually take it to a new level. So here's what's going to go on. Every Wednesday I will be talking about several stuff from the world of sports, the world of motorsports, music. Maybe sometimes I'll talk about, say, the weather, what's on my mind, what's going on, and other things. However, let's make this thing clear. If you're thinking, well, the Godfather must talk about politics in this program. No. This is not a political show. You will never hear me talk about the Donald. You will never hear me talk about refugees. You will never hear me talk about any of that stuff, because to me, politics is not my forte. And I'd rather not talk about politics at any moment in this program, because I'd rather be informed than be an illiterate buffoon in the process. So hopefully you enjoy this episode and the topics I'll be discussing about, because obviously there's a lot of things that is on my mind that I'd rather do it now than never. I have always thought of doing this kind of format. I don't know if I would even call it a podcast form, but I wanted to do it in a video format where I talk about several topics non-stop, because obviously when you do radio, you have to take your public service announcements, your holy promos, and also limit yourself. Without further ado, let's talk about our first subject, which is obviously my favorite sport in the world, NASCAR. So basically, as you see on your screen, obviously those who are listening is through other outlets like say for example SoundCloud. You may not see the screen. There's going to be some visuals. So for those who are watching, you want to pay attention to the visuals, because especially with this new point system and this new format that NASCAR is doing, it's going to be helpful to kind of look at the visuals. And also you see on the right side of your screen, I have kind of like a bullet point rundown of what I'm going to talk about. And you look at the bottom of the screen, if you're happen to look around, it's like, wait a minute, what's this kind of information? You'll see some NBA scores. You see some racing news, college, music. I will talk about college basketball in a moment, even some irrelevant stuff for most people, but to me being an Idaho graduate, I will put some Idaho updates every now and then, probably every week. And also underneath you'll see my social media outlets. I don't like plugging it, because it's pretty straightforward if you look at it visually that my social media accounts are out there, so I don't need to plug in the shameless plug at all. So without further ado, let's begin going. Alright, as you look at the screen, you see, wait a minute, well, this is not my NASCAR. What happened to the good old days of NASCAR? I'm not watching it again. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. It's just more gimmicks. It's WWE on wheels 2.0 or WWE on steroids. Alright, I'll get my thoughts in a moment. I'm going to get my thoughts. But let's go through the process to kind of explain what's going on. As you see, there's no such thing as running 500 miles from start to finish. There will be some breaks. Some stuff are unclear. Some stuff are been emphasized. So, for example, stage number 1. There's going to consist of 3 stages. Stage 1, after that is completed, the top 10 are awarded points, 10 through 1. So whoever's in first, say like Chase Elliott. Let's say Chase Elliott at the end of stage 1 was the leader. He'll get 10 points. And then say who rounds out the top 10, say Brendan Gaughan. Obviously Brendan Gaughan may have no chance of being in the top 10 at Daytona, depending how his car does during speed weeks. But Brendan Gaughan will get the 1 point. And then the stage winner will get a playoff point, and then the caution will come out. Then on stage 2, it's the same concept. The end of stage 2 essentially means the halfway mark. It's an official race. Once the 2 stages are done, the race could be over due to fog, like at Pocono, or due to rain, and like in a couple Daytona 500s as recent as 2009. But here comes the big one. Stage number 3, the final one. That one counts. So in case if you're wondering, wait a minute, there's going to be 3 different race winners? No. It's going to be one overall race winner, which is the final stage. That stays the same. Essentially, stage 1 and 2 are essentially segments. It's like the All-Star race where the winner of segment 1 through 4, they get some bonus. They get a bonus prize money. But that does not mean they're included in the record book as being a winner. They're just going to be stage winners. So yeah, race for the win, and then the points, the regular points as it was in the past, 40 through 1, will be awarded as it follows. Winner of that final stage will get all the glory, the glitz, and the glamour, and also get the 5 playoff points. The playoff implications. The overall structure of the playoffs will remain the same. It's going to stay the same, pretty much winning you're in, as has been in the past couple of years since the playoffs has been implemented in 2004. Oh, and by the way, I'm calling it the playoffs because that's what it's going to be now. The playoffs. No longer the chase for the Spring Cup. Or in this case, this year, the chase for the Monster Cup. Eligibility and determination. See, that's what happens when you do stuff in the morning. Race wins, then points. It's pretty much the same thing. Top 16 advance. Unlike in the past, how the next round worked is that everybody starts with the same amount of points. Based on their reseeding, it means there's going to be a carryover. There's going to all the points that you earn will carry over. So say Harvick finished second and one race, and then the other 2 in the round he won. The amount of points that he gets will stay. And then obviously in the Homestead Final 4, or as I like to call it, or is known as the Championship 4, it's just straight up. Whoever finishes first, whoever is the highest Championship 4 finisher will win the title. But here's my honest thought about it. I thought, oh great, the last thing that NASCAR needs is segment and based events. I was not into it, but then as like any other changes, Hyde and Warren decided, well, let's see how it happens. Oh, and by the way, this does not affect Cup. This affects all 3 series, the Xfinity and the Camping World Truck Series. And because of the stages, the caution clock in the Camping World Truck Series that was implemented last season is irrelevant now. So the fans who hated it can now rejoice about it. But because of these stages, there will never be a legit caution-free race ever again. And in the case of Cup, the 2002 EA Sports 500 won by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Honestly, here's what I thought when they announced it. It looked like a freaking college book, a college textbook. And as for me, graduated college textbooks is no joke, especially law books where you have to read 300 pages for a certain section of the exam. It's absolutely ludicrous. And that's how I felt. There's so much to learn. And then after the announcement was made, I let go of my raw emotion and I thought about it. Okay, I can see it work. I see it working, and the drivers are saying it's going to be much more exciting. Even Dale Jr. said drivers from the 80s like the Harry Gans, the Dale Earnhardts, the Bill Elliott's, the Rusty Wallace, even Petty, Yarborough, Allison would have loved that idea. Neil Bonnet, Tim Richmond, they would have loved that idea. I don't know about that, but what at the end of the day is trying to create some excitement and implying that the NASCAR listens to the fans. Except a lot of those people, the detractors and those who say, oh sure, they listen to the fans, or rather get rid of the chase. They technically got rid of the chase, just the name. It's just going to be known as playoffs now. I'm just going to wait and see how this works, but I think what's going to happen is going to create more drama. Obviously, it's staged, pun intended. They're trying to make it too much of a gimmick sport, which is unfortunate, but hey, if you want to keep the ratings up, or some people believe it's going to go down even more, you got to make it interesting. But honestly, I think this will not be an awful idea. It's unfortunate. It's going to be too gimmicky once again. I can guarantee you there's going to be some fights. And also there's an implementation that body modifications. Say a car gets wrecked at Daytona. There's going to be no such thing as body modifications because NASCAR won't allow it any longer. That means essentially if your car is wrecked, you're done. You're going to probably be done. And that's why I bring up like an Elliott Sadler or a Joey Gase or a Greg Gaulding could probably win a race because they may avoid a wreck. And there was even a joke like in the spring race at Talladega, essentially nobody will be left other than probably David Gilliland. So we'll see how it happens. I know some people that are giving up of the sport or just say, that's it, I'm done with NASCAR. Screw this sport. They ruined it. It's not the same. It's not my star car racing. But obviously, as a huge NASCAR fan, which I dedicate a lot of this program, some time into it, it shows you that I kind of do care. No, I do care. But honestly, we'll see how it happens. Just give it a shot. Obviously, some people will not give it a shot, but hey, more power to them. But at the end of the day, nobody shall force me what to like and what not to like any longer. Pocono Raceway put it on their social media. The race is 160 laps. Halfway is 80. And you see stage 1 and 2 is half of 80, which is 40. So essentially, the first 2 segments is half of a race, and then the final stage is the second half of the race. So it left me wondering, as you see on the right, Sonoma and Watkins Glen, the 2 road courses of the season. 110 laps for Sonoma, 90 Watkins Glen. As you see, the halfway says 55 for Sonoma, 45 Watkins Glen. I saw it as like, those are odd numbers. When you split in half, you're going to get one number bigger than the other. So I decided the one with the majority, which would be 28, should be the first one. And then segment 2 would be 27. Because obviously you cannot stop at 27 and a half unless the overtime line will be considered the end of the stage, which would be weird and confusing, which the sport could not afford, and the fans will probably hate it. It's probably going to be more confusion to some people's eye than the 1991 pit regulations where you have the orange dot and the blue dot. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a video out there. Just type in 1991 pit running, I'm pretty sure you'll find it. But at the end of the day, 32 days till the Daytona 500. We'll see what happens. Obviously, as a long-time racing fan, I'm going to support it. It's just unfortunate that they got to do this to bring more excitement. So you think the cars play a factor into the excitement too, or the drivers? You be the judge. But anyways, it's not the only sport that kind of does something like this. I know VA Supercars, they run 2 races in a weekend. So they have one on Saturday and then another one on Sunday. NASCAR joins on the party, but it kind of kills the purpose of having full-length races without stopping. But it has been done in the past. Look at the first couple years in the Camping World Truck Series when it was known as the Super Trucks. There's no confusion to the Super Stadium Trucks. They had a halftime break. It sounds silly, but they had that kind of stuff. If there's anything new, I will bring it for you on Wednesdays. Alright, in another NASCAR news, you have Greg Gaulding. I brought him up earlier because there's a reason. I purposely brought him up because Greg Gaulding will now be in the number 23 Dr. Pepper Toyota for BK Racing. Pretty much running most of these races when Joey Gase is not running. Joey Gase has been announced as the Daytona 500 driver. Some people don't like him. I kind of had a vibe that not many people like him. Maybe because he's too aggressive, or he's just not good as people or some owners' eyes make him out to be. And many people have labeled him as a paid driver, or a paid driver that has not proven himself to be cup worthy like drivers in the past. There's been a lot of them. I say the 2017 rookie class is going to be good. You have Daniel Suarez, you have Eric Jones, you have Ty Dillon. But hey, more drivers, the better. I know some people say fewer drivers, less wrecks, less idiots on the track, as some people would like to call it. And then, probably the eye candy factor of the week, for sure. Obviously, it's not really the eye candy factor of the week because there's another segment that's pretty much eye candy to my point of view. But anyways, Chase Elliott has now have a new sponsor, and it is Hooters. So yeah, Hooters is back on a regular. Obviously, Hooters sponsor Greg Biffle and the Alan Kawicki tribute ride for the throwback race in the Southern 500, but Hooters is going to be sponsoring Chase's car for 2 races, as far as I heard, and brings back some nostalgia. Obviously, you had Alan Kawicki, Rick Mass, Hoy Allen Jr., Brett Bodine. So yeah, the wings are going to be extra crispy when it comes to Chase Elliott's number 24. Hey, it's Hooters. Look, Monster Energy, Hooters, it's a win-win combination, don't you think? Alright, speaking of Hooters, let's transition to an interesting subject that I will talk about through every week, which I will call the Godfather Celebrity Women's Crush Wednesday of the week. And I decided, well, I'm not going to call it WCW, because WCW to me is World Championship Wrestling. So I'm going to say it in its full name, the Women's Crush Wednesday. So yeah, as you see this wonderful, beautiful, audaciously gorgeous human being, there's a reason why. When you watch soap operas or programs like telenovelas, which is essentially soap opera, unless these days it's like your daily drama show, your Telemundos, I decided, why not give it to the OG MILF of the week? Obviously, the word MILF has been tossed around for X-rated content, but obviously, there should be some good MILFs out there, you know? Like I said, this show is off limits with the exception of politics. Like I said, there are attractive women all over the world, and she's no exception. Simple as that. We're going to transition to the NFL, as I like to call it, Redemption versus Stardom, Super Bowl 51, Atlanta, New England. NRG Stadium in Houston, February 5th. Anyways, here's the reason why I call it, I guess, redemption versus stardom. Because some people say, let's see, I think it was Sports Illustrated or ESPN the magazine, as a matter of fact, that says Brady's revenge tour. And some people say, like, what revenge? What revenge? Like, there's no revenge. What is he trying to prove? He's already proven himself. He's going to be one of the great quarterbacks of this century, of all time, for that matter. But obviously, keep in mind, Tom Brady was suspended early in the season, so that's probably where the revenge comes, trying to stick it to Roger Goodell, saying, hey, you may sit me out for a month, but I'm still going to be the best darn player in the NFL. And then the stardom point is Matt Ryan, who's been in the league for quite a while now, along with Joe Flacco. Flacco already has the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan's trying to look for his first. And for the Falcons, it's been an interesting journey. All right, here's a little tip. For those who are listening, who know me. I'm a Seahawks fan for first and foremost. Seahawks won. Falcons is number 2. I know at one point around 2010, 2011, I made more emphasis on the Falcons, but mostly I made more emphasis on the Falcons because it was when it comes to the game against New Orleans, the Saints, or sometimes I like to refer as the Aints. No disrespect to New Orleans, I respect the Saints more than other NFL teams. 49ers can just go away. Chip Kelly can just go away. Oh, the Kyle Shanahan, this whole ordeal with Kyle Shanahan, I've heard that Chip Kelly could be on his way in the Falcons. I say no. He needs to stay the hell away from Atlanta. Go ruin some other team. He's already ruined Philadelphia. He's already ruined San Francisco. And even though I could give two you-know-whats about the 49ers, I could care less about the 49ers because the 49ers just played out garbage. I cannot stand this modern-era 49ers. And I think a lot of it has to do that I grown with the Seahawks stigma. But honestly, this era of the 49ers, I do not like them whatsoever. They're just a complete 180 of what the 49ers used to stand for back in the day, when from the Bill Walshes, the Joe Montanas, and all those guys like the T.O.s or the Vernon Davis or the Steve Youngs. That's the one, or Jerry Rice. That's not your 49ers as it once was. I'm just not a 49ers fan straight up. And I'm glad that bandwagon is dead. Obviously, the Seahawks had that bad stigma about being bandwagon. All right, let me shift back to the Super Bowl, because obviously those two teams are not on the playoffs. They're done. They're eliminated. It's pretty much New England and Atlanta. So obviously, being an Atlanta fan, I went out to pick Atlanta. Matt Ryan he's made his case known that he's worthy of an MVP candidate. I think he deserves to be MVP. Biased or unbiased, I think he needed to prove himself in the NFC Championship, which he... Obviously, I will talk more about the Super Bowl in the weeks to come. February 5th, Luke Bryan will be playing the national anthem. Obviously, the halftime is Lady Gaga. I will talk about those two performances when the Super Bowl comes and goes. All right. And now for the irrelevant fact of the week, because, I just have too much time to look up irrelevant stuff that kind of just does not mean much, but I want you to be informed and be maybe a little bit mind-blown. As you see now, NFC Championship. Joe Buck made up a point that the 12 teams have made it to the Super Bowl out of the last 16 years. So it got me thinking, okay, let's see how many of them made it more than once. I know Seattle has, I know the Giants have. And out of the blue, I completely ignore the Carolina Panthers. But as you see, look at this. That's 12 out of the 16 NFC teams that has made it to the Super Bowl. The St. Louis Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, St. Louis is now LA. The Carolina Panthers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Seahawks, the Bears, Giants, Cardinals, Saints, Packers, Niners, and now the Falcons. That leaves 4 teams that has not, since 2001, that has not made a Super Bowl appearance. The Detroit Lions has never made it to the Super Bowl. They have never won the NFC Championship. The Minnesota Vikings, the last time they won was in 76. Washington Redskins, 91. 95, the Dallas Cowboys. As you see, it shows that the NFC is it's kind of like a very demanding conference. That there's no guarantees you'll come back to the Super Bowl unless you're Seattle, Carolina, and the Giants that has made it back more than once. So, in case you were wondering, for all you fans that are rooting for the Lions, Vikings, Redskins, and Cowboys, keep that in mind. There's still some hope that you guys can make the Super Bowl in the near future. Right now, it looks like Dallas may have the strong chance and the strongest possibility. Then Detroit, And then Minnesota. Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing about Minnesota. They really disappointed me this season. They really did. They really did. They were so hot and they were so strong. Then like Atlanta beat them and they crashed and burned to the depths of foul. On the contrary, the AFC Championship is completely different. I went as far as back as 1990. Look at this team. There's only been 9 AFC teams that has made it to the Super Bowl. 9. Look at San Diego, the formerly known San Diego Chargers, and the hopefully not, I swear to God, hopefully not, soon to be former Oakland Raiders. And also the Tennessee Titans. They made it to the Super Bowl once, and they have not been back. Because you have, when you exclude Buffalo, I went as far as 1994, and then I thought, wait a minute. If I go to 1990, it's only been Buffalo because they made it to 4 straight Super Bowls, which you'll probably will never see again. Look, Pittsburgh, New England, Denver, Baltimore, and Indianapolis. High emphasis on New England, Denver, and Pittsburgh. They find ways to make it back. They find ways to make it back left and right, especially in New England. Look at that. 3 times this decade they made it to the Super Bowl, and then the previous decade, the 2000s, 4 times. And you look at 1996, like, wait a minute. The Patriots made it to the Super Bowl in 1996? Yes, they did. They made it to the Super Bowl. That was their second appearance. The first one was the Super Bowl 20 when they faced the Chicago Bears. And look at the teams who has not made it to the Super Bowl. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Houston, Jacksonville, Kansas, Miami, and the Jets. And aforementioned on the asterisk, I put Kansas and the Jets on the star because they won a Super Bowl. They made it to a Super Bowl despite not making it back since the pre-AFC Championship era. The AFC Championship era began in 1970 when obviously the AFL merged to the with the NFL. But Kansas and the Jets have a Super Bowl. They just have not made it back since the AFC Championship was brought up. The more you know, people. Let's move forward to a subject that I really want to get through real quick because it's gonna be the outcomes, more or less, that will dictate this aforementioned subject, known as the Royal Rumble. 30 men, 29 caskets. Only the Undertaker leaves with a shot of a WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Speaking of The Undertaker, Bill Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, among others, will be in the Royal Rumble match. Here's a little bit side note. As you see in the poster, you have Lesnar, Taker, Goldberg, and John Cena. Soon to be 16-time champion because I'm John Cena. John Cena can only go over. As you see AJ Styles, he may be the champion, but he's relevant. He's in the back of the back. He's a back marker because I'm John Cena. Ah, shut up, John Cena. Anyways, yeah, you see AJ Styles next to Sasha Banks, which is obviously the pink maroon hair. For those who don't follow wrestling, you see that guy over there in the middle? Yeah, he's in the back. That is your champion. That is your guy and your number one guy in the company. Even though it's not the guy, because John Cena is still the guy, and Roman Reigns the guy too. But look, you have Roman Reigns right in the center, but in the second row with Charlotte and Kevin Owens. But you have your champion, your main world champion in the back. That kind of shows you that AJ Styles is not looked as a highly regarded talent. Even though a lot of wrestling fans know AJ Styles is the guy. Many people say he's the best since Eddie Guerrero. Arguably the best since Eddie Guerrero. Some people put him as one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling. And look, he's right in the back of the pack. You have Dean Ambrose in front of him. You have the New Day in front of him. And don't even get me started about the New Day, because this is not about the New Day. Anyways, the Royal Rumble. John Cena will try to become looks to become a 16-time champion on Sunday, which unfortunately I have him. He's gonna win. What else is new? As much as I want Styles to win, and in the case for the WWE Universal Championship, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. As much as I want Owens, that's the WWE egos. Let me correct myself. The WWE egos is probably gonna have Cena and Reigns win it, and then have the feel-good story in the Royal Rumble match. As I like to call it, the Royal Disaster 4, because the last couple Royal Rumbles have been hit and miss by a lot of fans. Look at 2014, the worst Rumble in recent memory, when you have Batista winning. Okay, let me be honest. At the time, I was not happy that Batista won. It was because it was too predictable. But as time went by, I respected Batista as a man, because Batista's the man. So all that Batista stuff needs to be let go. I'm happy for Batista, whatever. I'm happy for him. Good for him. He's making movies. He made a Bond movie. He was in a Bond movie. If you're in a Bond movie, that's a good thing. Don't you think? Anyways, then 2015. Oh yeah, most people were upset because it should have been Daniel Bryan instead of Rey Mysterio, which to this day is one of Rey Mysterio's last, if not Rey Mysterio's last vivid memory in the fans' eye. So if Mysterio were to come back, he'd probably get booed. But Mysterio's career is near its end, so I don't see Mysterio coming back out of probably in a WWE Hall of Fame ceremony near you. Then 2015, you have Roman Reigns winning the Rumble, which many people were sick of Reigns at that point. It was too predictable, but much better than 14. Then 16 was like better, but a lot of the hardcore fans did not like the fact that Triple H, the part-timer, won. And it still looks like it's going to be a part-timer going to win the Rumble again. But if you look at my final 4 picks, I have Braun Strowman, Bill Goldberg, Undertaker, and Brock Lesnar. Those are my final 4. As far as winning it all, there's been rumors about Cena and Taker for a career versus title being the case at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, but that has been quote-unquote scrapped. There's even a possibility that Goldberg and Lesnar may headline WrestleMania 33. But if I look at this 4, definitely don't see Strowman winning it. I don't see Lesnar and Goldberg winning it, so obviously my pick to win the Royal Rumble, and I will not be surprised one bit, would be The Undertaker, which will be his second. The last time he won it was in 2007 when he lost eliminated Shawn Michaels. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the Royal Rumble. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, this Royal Rumble match brings a little buzz. Unlike the last couple Rumbles where it was too predictable. This one is honestly not as unpredictable. They could go either way. I know it may sound maybe a predictable route for Taker to win it so he can face Cena so Taker can retire losing to John. Or even win the title one last time. The last time the Undertaker's won a WWE title, the WWE Championship in this case, would be way back in 2002. It's been a long time. The last time he won a world title was in 2010, where he held it until the Elimination Chamber. If I remember, he held it till the Chamber, and then that's when he faced Shawn Michaels for the rematch, and then made Shawn Michaels retire. It's not going to be a fun World Championship match because it's going to dictate how, me included, I view the Royal Rumble pay-per-view itself. Should be an interesting Rumble, but honestly, I'm not watching WWE in a long time. I'm not even watching Raw or SmackDown from start to finish in months, but I still follow it because I have no life. Speaking of having no life, let's transition to music. Oh boy, it's going to be fun, don't you think? I'm going to talk about music. Obviously, you can know me with the Godfather when I used to do it on KUIFM Oscar 8.3. Music was the emphasis. But obviously, this is YouTube. There's no such thing as playing music to break up these segments. So, I'm going to talk about music. So, who's number 1?
Who's number 1? Who's number 1? Who's number 1? Who's number 1? So, who's number 1? Who's number 1? Who's number 1?
I know it's from an ESPN show, who's number 1, but it's emphasized who's number 1 in the Billboard charts. But unlike my radio show, back in my college days, is something I like to say now, I will bring the Billboard 200 albums. Yes, albums. And obviously, the top 10 albums and top 10 songs. So without further ado, let's suffer the pain together. Or if you like this kind of music, more power to it. It's just not my cup of tea. So let's take a look at the top 10. As you see over here, The Weeknd's Starboy is at number 1. The XX's third album, I See You, debuts at number 2. Nominated for 14 Academy Awards, La La Land at number 3. The Moana soundtrack, which that one surprised me, is number 4. 24K Magic by Bruno Mars rounds at the top 5. Hamilton, the American musical, really popular musical that I have a couple good dear friends of mine that really loves Hamilton. And speaking of such, soon, I need to remind myself soon to probably do a movie review on Les Mis. I don't know when that's going to happen. I have the copy with me, But I'll probably do the graduate review before I do Les Mis review. We'll see. Time will tell. Because I don't like telling what's going on or what's going to happen on my shows because I want it to be a surprise. So anyways, for your eyes only, J. Cole, number 7. Drake's Views Down was still in the top 10. It's still in the top 10, and that was released like over a year ago. Then we'll just watch that beat the new Dark Side of the Moon that stayed in the Billboard 200 for decades. It actually did stay in the charts for decades. I think it still is the world record for longest time being in the 200 charts. That kind of shows you how the impact Dark Side of the Moon had. Well, obviously this is 2017, not the 70s, where the quality of music as far as the mainstream that is labeled now, it's just pure utter garbage these days. Post Machine, never heard of it, but Stoney's number 9, and then Trolls at number 10. I feel like that was been there for a while too now. That would make sense. And now, the shits, excuse my language, the shits of them all, the Billboard Hot 100. So let's go down bottom to top. 24K matching with some people thought, including myself, okay, Bruno Mars, he's gonna be a number 1. It's gotta be number 1. It's gotta be number 1. Nope, he's not number 1. It did not top the charts. And I'll tell you why in a moment, because you see this top 10, the last couple of them that have been number 1 are still in the charts. Number 9, Maroon 5 featuring Kendrick Lamar's Don't Wanna Know. I've not heard that song. I fear for it. But it's because Maroon 5 can be hit or miss with me, and then Kendrick Lamar, and so like, they overhype him. And I listened to a good chunk of To Pimp a Butterfly. I have still yet to finish the rest of the album. I honestly you want a good rap, you want a good rap music, go listen to some NF. It's not that bad. It's tolerable at least. Alright, number 8, I Don't Want to Live Forever, Sane featuring Taylor Swift. Number 7, Paris by the Chainsmokers, 7 AM not heard. Number 6, I actually heard Bad Things by Machine Gun Kelly featuring Camila Cabello. Not into it. Not into it too much, mostly the hook. It's just like, whatever. I probably may listen to one more mates again, because obviously it is MGK. And here's the song that was number 1, the first number 1 of 2017, Starboy with The Weeknd featuring that part. Now listen to it, because I'm not a Weeknd guy. There's no way you can get me to listen to The Weeknd, because I'm not into them. And then when I heard that they sampled Tears for Fears, Pale Shelter, that's what dominates the freaking YouTube comments. It's that song. It's like, dude, Pale Shelter bodies The Weeknd. Oh, Tears for Fears bodies The Weeknd. It honestly does. I know I call myself Mr. Old School for a reason, because I'm saying the quality was there. Maybe if I'm hanging out with friends, maybe if I'm in a bar or in a club sometime, then alright, there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to, alright, get in the rhythm, adapt to it, and whatever. It's not my cup of tea. Definitely number 4 is not my cup of tea. I talked about this multiple times in my radio show. It's a ripoff of Let Me How You Do. And that's all I'm going to talk about, the Chainsmokers. The song that was number 1 for quite a while was Black Beatles, Ray Sremmurd, and Gussie Mane, or Gucci Mane, or however people would like to call it. Probably the one who gave me the better answer would be Mark Martin, because he is a Gucci Mane fan for sure. It's been on record that he's mentioned him a couple times. And then the former number 1 song, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran, which I will talk about next in a moment. And then, yeah, number 1, you see, yeah, top 2, I will talk about those top 2 songs. Let's talk about number 2. Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. This is coming off a huge mega album that he had a couple of years ago. I know a couple of people love Ed Sheeran. He's in the same line with, what is his name? What do they call him? Calvin Smith or something like that. I have to look it up. I got no time to look it up because I'm trying to keep it at a minimum, which obviously is kind of running scores. Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. I did not find out it was number 1 till this week, because I said, because of the number 1 song that was, and still is today, said, you know what, I'm just going to take a week off to not think about this number 1 song. But here's the number 2 song that was number 1 a week ago. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Here's why. There's one thing that gripes me about Top 40. They all sound the same, for the most part. It's cookie cutter. It's a cookie cutter top 40 beat that you can probably hear at a Justin Bieber or a Nick Jonas or Nick, Kevin, or any of the Jonas Brothers. Who would have thought 2017 the Jonas Brothers are somewhat relevant? Same thing with Soulja Boy. He's relevant, for fuck's sakes. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous that Soulja Boy is relevant in 2017. Well, when you have Floyd Money Mayweather and Mike Tyson trying to help Chris Brown, and in the case of Mayweather helping Soulja Man, Soulja Boy, yeah, I can give two fucks about that fight. And who I have winning? Chris Brown. Go figure. I want Chris Brown to win. I don't condone what he does, what he's done in the past. I'm not crazy. I'm not a huge Chris Brown fan by any means. But Chris Brown's gonna whoop him. It's simple. Anyways, Cookie Cutter Top 40 beat. It kind of hurts. It hurt the rating. It hurt the message of the song. Maybe if I listen to it again, the song lyrically is good. But the beat, sometimes the beat can dictate how it sounds. And sometimes the lyrics can ruin the beat. It can be a match made in heaven or a match made in hell. And this one's a variation of match made in hell, honestly. Because that's not what I'm used to Ed Sheeran. Maybe because I don't listen enough Ed Sheeran that I really don't have much of an emphasis. Obviously, over time, some songs, how I viewed that was terrible or whatever, I may grow to like. Look at Fancy by Iggy Azalea. Mostly by my group of people that kind of shifted me to enjoy. I'm not listening to Fancy in a long time, that's for sure. But yeah, it's an okay song. I grade it under a curve because obviously top 40 and 2017 standards. This kind of song is considered okay in today's standards. Now, if it was the 80s, it would be ugh. And then, the first recipient of the Godfather Garbage Material Seal of Approval goes to Bad and Bougie by Migos, featuring Lil Uzi Vert. I feared a month ago, I feared the day that artists like Migos would have a number one hit. I feared it. That Wasabi, the Cheska Bobby, whatever that song, garbage ass song it's called, came in the mix. I said, horrible, garbage. Don't want to hear it again. Bad and Boucher, I did not listen to the full song. I just couldn't bear it. It's like, ugh. What is wrong with top 40? As you say, 0 out of 10. I don't give out a lot of 0 out of. I've been giving a lot of 0 out of 10s in this decade. Look at work by Drake and Rihanna. I honestly, that's the worst grade I've ever given in a number one song during my time at KOI. I think I would give it negative 10 out of 10. Don't be mistaken, negative 10 out of 10. This is 0 out of 10. So I still think Work is the worst song of the decade, the century, and of all time. It's just everything that solidifies top 40 is there. It's just wrong with it. And then when I hear mainstream radio, when I'm in Rise of all that stuff with my family and all, they don't play this song. They don't play Black Beatles. They still play Closer. Yeah, we'll never listen to it again. Maybe if I have to, the only reason is because I'm with people. Maybe I should pay attention to the lyrics. But when you have Migos, a mumble rapper, top in the charts, it should tell you that mainstream music is not looking bright. Alright. Since that went a lot better than I thought, let's transition to the Godfather's playlist in the week, kind of show you what kind of music I like. And as you see, it's a good variation because I listen to a good variety of music. It's called the Godfather's playlist of the week, where I have 10 songs that I really enjoy or have been enjoying the last couple days or weeks. So let's go run through it. There's a couple of Grand Theft Auto 5s because I've been playing GTA 5 for quite a while. I haven't been playing in a couple days, but I'm processing through the game. Usually my brother is better in those kind of games that likes to go through it and understands it. I'm kind of like, get it done, rush through it. And it's affected my gameplay a little bit. But that's another subject for another day. Anyways, Blown Away by Youth Brigade. Okay, let me tell you beforehand. Here's the songs that are in GTA 5. Blown Away, With Every Heartbeat, When You're Out, Speedline Miracle Masterpiece. Those are the songs. Yeah, it pretty much dominates my playlist right now. You're blown away when it's like what I love about early 80s punk. It's rough, it's aggressive, and all I envision of that song is that see a bunch of botches and fails of backyard wrestling. Okay, let me tell you something about backyard wrestling. It's cringeworthy because it's horrible. It's nuisance. I was almost gonna drop a word I don't condone, and it would probably not be right to say. So it's just a bunch of dumbasses that they're doing stuff that they probably are paralyzed, dead, medical bills up the ass. There. Let me say that's what backyard wrestling is. If you thought that, if you want to be a pro wrestler, train. Just train. Simple as that. Good, fast, upbeat, aggressive song. And as you see, there's a couple of those electronic pop music out there. You have Sound of the Crowd, Human League from 1981 is one of the most underrated Human League songs of all time. Intensity is really great. It makes me want to go play some simulation racing game and wreck or watch Formula 1 clips or compile my own personal videos because I have no life. Anyways, great song. With Every Heartbeat by Robin is from 2005. It's kind of like, before Ellie Goulding, there was Robin. Let's just say that. It's a catchy song, very catchy. I like catchy songs. It's got to have some substance in it to be a good catchy song. That's the thing about Top 40 these days. They want the catchy beat. They want the catchy lines. You want a girl that is a crowd pleaser. You want that will never get older. You want your works. You want all of that stuff. This one works. It works good. It works. Then we look at Boom, System of a Down. Another quick song. Aggressive, rough. That kind of shows you the issues that was going around America and in the world at the time. That it was about the war. And then thinking about the children who are starving. We're spending a lot of money on those kind of stuff. As I know I mentioned, I don't talk about politics, but that's what the song is. If it's related to the song, I will discuss about it. That's the only limit I will talk about politics. At the end of the day, only thing I will talk about. But at the end of the day, Boom, fast, upbeat, aggressive. And I thought to myself, well, if every major event has had a protest song or a song related to the events, then should we expect a women's march to have one soon? Time will tell. And if it happens, I will not be surprised. 80s. If you're wondering, if you listen to 80s, you're like, Nirvana, wait a minute. These guys come up with that riff? Yeah, they had that riff before Nirvana's Come As You Are. Both great songs. But 80s has that, it's like, here's the thing, I like some of the weird obscurity, even some of them it's like outdated music. Hey, sometimes the outdated music may be really good, or as I like to say, a guilty pleasure. See, that's what 80s is. It pretty much epitomizes what the 80s was. If you watch the music video, if you don't believe me, it screams 80s. It came out in 85. And they were showing clips from mostly what I understood, good chunk of it, 1980. We'll watch the video, and if you look at it, go watch the video and look USSR 1980, and then you'll kind of get a good point of what's going around at the time. Here's the one that you probably may have never heard of. From the Wheels on Meals soundtrack. Really, I don't know if there is a soundtrack, but it's from the movie Wheels on Meals in 1984. Do not know who made it, so I just put it underneath. It's Spartan X. It's the Misawa's entrance music. Go listen to it. It makes you want to do some kung fu, want to do some combat fighting or something. It's a really good catchy record. It's like, sometimes Japanese music is really good. When I listen to it, it can be really exciting, and it's really good. When You're Out by Cough, that from 2013. This is one of those songs that I get a good vibe. You have those vibes, great vibes, beautiful vibes. And this one was one of those that has a catchy, wonderful vibe. And it reminds me, I had those visions that like going the summer of 2016 in California during the night and set in the Bay Area. The sunset during the night. That luxury, that lifestyle, that vibrant feeling. I plan on hopefully to go back to California this year. Time will tell. Alright. You want to know something? Alright, here's a little 411. Rap music back in the day. It's some dirty shit. It's some dirty stuff. And some of the lines are super dirty that it may not make me your cup of tea. But Simon Says by Pharomonch with the Godzilla beat. The Godzilla beat in that strong introduction with the "Get the fuck up." I said, "Get the fuck up." Which this is called Simon Says, but it doesn't say Simon Says. Okay, I'm making it too complicated enough. But a beast of a beat, beast record, and I said to myself, Samoa Joe needs to come out to that beat. I said, the Disciples of Pain, no, the Authors of Pain, Samoa Joe versus the New Day. 6-man tag match, WrestleMania, let's go. Whip up the Simon Says record, and they'll mean business. Obviously, Samoa Joe has used the rendition of Godzilla's theme since his wrestling career began. Samoa Joe is a beast. Let's say that. I know, and in case you're wondering, I had the snooker in the XX's new album somewhere. I've been listening to Lips quite a bit. It's a really good album. It's a really good album. It really is. It's a different style, but it still has that element of what the band has been known for, which is great. All of the songs have a different meaning, and I think Lips was the one that it has that little flow that you hear from your Drakes and Rihanna's. Except for this one, it just works. It just works well. It flows. Let's just say that. It flows. And then the last one, Speedline Miracle Masterpiece. What else could I say about it? Fierce, fast, and speed. That's all I can say about that, right? So that is my playlist. Voice crack. That is my playlist of the week. So each week I will have 10 songs that I really liked that I recommend or what I've been listening to. Just kind of have you people explore different kinds of music. If you're sick of Top 4 or you want to know more about different styles of music, go listen to these records. And that's my proving point. There's a variety. I know it's dominantly the 80s and the 10s, but I listen to a lot of music. I do listen to Top 4. The only reason why I listen to those number one records is to give my thoughts. It's like, okay, it's got to be reasonable. It's got to be playable. But sometimes when I get some of these number one songs, I just don't hear it on my radio station at all. All I hear is Closer and Michael Mendes or whatever, Shawn Mendes or whatever his name is. I don't even know. All right, we're near the end of the show, so I like to do quote of the week. Here is a quote of the week, probably one of the more influential athletes that you may have never heard of, but racing fans obviously do. It is Ayrton Senna. This is a quote that I do live by every now and then, and I think it's a relevant quote with the way society has become. Or even the purpose of doing this show, why I'm doing this and why I'm making this possible. I decided to do this. When you love what you do, you convey that feeling, that attitude, that result, that love to all around you. End quote by Ayrton Senna. Or some people like to call him Ayrton Senna. It's like tomato, tomato, potato, potato. I usually call him Ayrton Senna because it's just kind of like how I grew up saying it. Here's why I went with this quote. And it kind of transitions to 3 points from The Godfather. It's kind of like my advice to wrap up every show. So here's my little story. All right, back a couple months ago when I was in my final weeks at the University of Idaho, the passion that I had of doing broadcasting, filming, writing, not crazy into writing, unless I have the energy or the desire and motivation to do it. At that point, in November 16th, I lost that passion. I lost what I really loved about doing media work. At that point, I was burnt out. I had enough with the politics. I was burnt out. It's like, what happened to the passion that I had writing, capturing the story, enjoy what I do, and instead of treating it like a job that I don't enjoy. It's kind of like a long, complicated relationship that has had its hiccups. It had a roadblock. I had a roadblock. And I just lost that love and passion mostly because I just had enough with some... Well, I had enough with some people, and I had enough with a couple of things. But it wasn't terribly bad as it was a couple of years ago that I endured, which is a different story for another time. I lost it. I lost that passion. I was not into writing anymore. And my performance suffered, and I suffered as a whole. because I was too focused on trying to graduate that the most of my interest has gone. And here's a little nitpick in the world of journalism. I cannot stand starting an article or when I see my final product starts with this. I looked at different papers to try to remind myself that, hey, look, I can come up with something creative. It may make sense. It may not. It depends on the readers. The readers, I write it for how I view my readers will understand or try to allure them to what the heck's going on. So starting with, say, for example, the Granite Falls High School men's basketball team or the University of Idaho volleyball team. I hate when the articles start like that because it's just cliche, unoriginal, uncreative. You need that hook. You need a strong lead. You need that hook in. And when I had those articles, sometimes I couldn't come up with something creative because I lost that passion. It just went away. It faded away, and I almost became obsolete in the world of journalism. I don't like considering myself a journalist. I like to consider myself as a broadcaster because what I'm doing isn't in a broadcast format. But I like to give tips and points how I personally feel. I like to shoot through the breeze. However, that all changed. But one event kind of changed that and allowed me to regain the passion that I lost. As you see, like I said, it's gonna be some stuff going on. Here's some footage that I shot in the women's basketball game exhibition, Idaho versus Multnomah. I think I call him Multnomah or something like that. Multnomah. Or I apologize in advance if that's happened. I butchered that whole entire thing. But I was filming that game. It's like, okay, one, I wanted to do it. Two, I had to do a game wrap up for my sports broadcasting class, which I think I have it up. I don't think I have it on my main channel up, but it's up. I don't know if I'll ever post it publicly. But here's some footage that I shot. Those are the highlights, the in-game highlights. That game and that me shooting basketball, I found that passion because it kind of went in the full circle. Because filming basketball has been part of my life, as well as part of my high school career in Granite Falls High School. That's why I brought up Granite Falls, by the way. It's just a kind of, not just an example, but also kind of, I filmed men's basketball for 4 years. Obviously, the hard cam, like you see on television. But this one was just up close in the section, trying to capture the moment. Also to gain practice, because practice makes everything. But in the process, I found that passion. The passion that I lost, it was regained. Because it reminded me that what I love doing is fun. It may be challenging, sometimes I may get disappointed on the final product, but I enjoy covering those kinds of things. I love what I do. And stuff like that kept me hungry. It keeps me hungry, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this weekly now on YouTube, possibly on SoundCloud. But I say possibly, it's probably going to be on SoundCloud in the matter of time. I don't know about that because I'm already past an hour. I hopefully you listen to it. Hopefully you listen through it bit by bit or all the way. If you guys listen to it all the way through, more power to you. Excellent. If you listen to it bit by bit, hey, no problem. There's this thing called timestamps where I talk about those kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. But I found that passion. It was hungry. It was incredible. And I always said to myself, before I graduate, I gotta cover a women's basketball game. I just had to. I had to. Because they were not going to play at home until I graduate. And I'd be gone. I'm no longer at the university because I graduated. I'm back to my local home in the state of Washington. It's very simple as that. Obviously, I did eventually cover a women's basketball game against the now number 7 ranked Washington Huskies, which they've been tearing it up. They have been tearing it up. But obviously, they gave us a good beat. They pretty much, it was a one-sided game. When I covered the Washington-Idaho game, it was a one-sided game. It was. But now look ever since Washington just keep tearing it up. This just are. It'll be interesting how the Huskies will do going into this weekend against Cal and Stanford this Sunday. I think it's Cal on Friday and Stanford on Sunday in Seattle. See how that goes. But here is my closing thought. I want you guys to think about it. And after you listen to this, after you're done listening to this, watching this video or listening it through in a podcast near you, think about what you love. Think about the thing that you're passionate about, what you want to do. For me, my end goal is to be involved in motorsports, covering NASCAR ideally, and be part of the media day experience. That's my gate to heaven in the world of my profession. So think about what you love to do, why you love it. In the first place, you gotta love what you want to do. Otherwise, there's no point of doing it if you don't love what you do. Number 2, what keeps you from doing what you want? What is the roadblock? What is preventing you? What are some things that you say, why can I not do? I can't do that. That's just too challenging. You gotta challenge yourself. You gotta be hungry to make yourself grow and invest yourself on doing this for the long haul. And then lastly, at the end of the day, you just gotta thrive for success. You gotta thrive, or you gotta be hungry. You need to be passionate in what you want to do. You just have to be passionate in what you want to do. Otherwise, don't do it. You gotta do it. Everything you do has a purpose. There's a meaning to it. You just have to thrive for it. Don't just sit there. Try for it. Think about ways to make yourself grow to that passion. If you love doing motocross, if you love doing stuff at bowling, or if you love bartending, come up with goals to make yourself stand out over the rest. Make yourself stand out. Be different. There's nothing wrong with it. It really isn't. All right. Before I wrap up my show, I gotta give out the first recipient of the AO award. I mean, let me do this right.
Hey, yo!
Number 1, Villanova. Number 2, Kansas. Number 4, Kentucky. They all lost their games. Number 3, Gonzaga. There's a post that made it out that things are looking bright for the Gonzaga Bulldogs of the good old Spokane, Washington. They could be number 1. But yeah, this is the second time that Villanova were upsetted when they were number 1 this season. But the Hey Yo Award goes to Marquette because they beat Villanova. Here's a little story to wrap up the show. You want to know how weird and bizarre it can be? I hate Villanova. There's a reason why I don't like Villanova, the basketball team. But no problem with the school or anything. Because they beat my picks in the March Madness. Yeah, I have not let that go. I will not let go of that buzzer beater. I remember I was watching the game during production night for the school paper, and I said, you know what? You know the rest. I can be ruthless, and it shows you that sometimes I can be aggressive, and sometimes things don't go well. Obviously, it's a sporting event, but it comes to show you when you're invested, you're invested. But kudos to Marquette for knocking down Villanova, and the reason why they earned it because it occurred to me that somebody that I know goes to Marquette. And it's like, boom. I come up with a new category, the Hey Yo of the Week. So Hey Yo to Marquette. Hopefully I can commit to this every single Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the first edition of Music Interview with the Godfather. Until we meet again, enjoy the rest of the weekend and always think about what you love doing. Have a good rest of your week, everybody, and as always, keep it real, because if you don't, there may be some backlash. But hey, if the backlash occurs, find a way to keep it real to yourself. Alright, Godfather out.